Welcome to episode 64 of the Lovoni and Sarah podcast, where we chat weight loss, health, wellbeing, share recipes, and set weekly challenges. We encourage each other to lose weight, become stronger, and squeeze more juice out of life. We also share our stories, so you know you're not alone in this. I'm Lovoni.
And I'm Sarah. And today we're talking the diet roller coaster. Can you stop it? How do you stop it? Is it possible to make the ride less daunting? Does it have to be such an up and down crazy ride? We're going to be sharing our stories, be really vulnerable, and share with you how we think you can even out those formidable peaks and valleys, and how we do it.
But before we get started, let's talk about last week's challenge. Which was creating a bank of recipes, like go-to recipes that you love and that you know the calories in all of them.
Yeah.
So you can easily plan your meals for the day and stay in a calorie deficit. How'd you do, Sarah?
Good. I already had them in my memory bank, really, but what I've done is I've written them down so that I've got them as a bit of a reference. I wrote down three sort of for each meal type. And actually some of them, particularly the breakfast and the lunch, are very interchangeable as well. So that made it even more flexible. You know, it could be a brunch or a lunch or, whatever.
Right,
it's fine.
right.
So yeah, good. And actually it just confirmed that the things I already had in my head were good, worked well. So what about you? Did you think up new things, or did you just go with stuff you knew?
I just went to my website because I have the nutrition
That's
on
yeah.
there. Yeah. What were your three things?
So for example, for breakfast, one of them is toast with whole peanut butter, no salt or sugar added, and fruit. I have lots of blueberries, blackberries, that sort of thing when I have that.
Nice.
My second one is porridge or yogurt with oats, whichever I fancy, either making a natural porridge or just stirring oats through natural yogurt, unsweetened.
Right.
And then my third, which is the one which is a bit more interchangeable, but I do eggs with spinach on toast. And actually we had that both mornings this weekend just gone.
Okay.
Sometimes I add a little bit of chili flakes to the spinach and have that as a breakfast, but I've got that as one of my lunches as well. So again,
right.
What about you?
And then what were you doing for the evening? Just
my two favorite ones that I've got on there. One was my roasted courgette and butter bean that then I make a cashew dressing that you then stir it through, which is really delicious. And then the other one, which I have regularly, is a salmon fillet, and I just sort of bake it with a lemon slice on the top, vegetables and baby potatoes. Really, really simple. It takes 20 minutes to prepare it, which is another good thing, because when you're in a hurry you think that's all I want. And it's a bit of a go-to, it's a clean meal that's nice and easy and tasty.
Quick and easy.
Quick and easy.
Well, it doesn't even have to be quick, just easy without 96 ingredients in it.
Yeah.
Or if it, all those spices, they're different, but still.
Yeah, and it's very easy to change it up, isn't it? Yeah.
Right. So for me, I find it easy when, like, for a whole week, I eat pretty much the same thing for breakfast and lunch or brunch, depending on, sometimes I just have 2 meals. Other times, like yesterday, I had 3 because I was hungry. But I'm having gluten-free bread that I bake myself with an egg, and then I have berries with that. And then some butter as well, because I like butter. And then lunch is salmon, avocado, beets. I'm going to have the same thing today. Some cream cheese, lemon juice, pickled red onions that I make. It's delicious. I love it. And then dinner last night, I made a quiche and had a giant salad with it. And it was all stayed within my caloric intake that I'd figured out. So I'll have the same thing pretty much for breakfast and lunch, like I said. And then tonight I'm doing a creamy chicken and mushroom thing, and having that over steamed broccoli.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And then one night I'm going to have crispy fish tacos with jalapeno tartare sauce. What else have I got here? I got 3 things as well. Or maybe that was it. The quiche. Oh no, kung pao chicken and eggplant, which is so good. So it's got peppers, like capsicum.
Yeah.
And aubergine.
Yeah.
Yeah, for eggplant in it. and, you know, some chili and stuff, just delicious, and all within the range.
Your range. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, just been doing that.
Sounds
Which
really
is,
good.
yeah, I'm excited. And they're things I like to eat, which I think makes a big difference.
It does make a difference. You look
I
forward
like
to
to look
it.
forward to my meals. Yes.
Yeah. But you know, this is
So,
going to
yes.
enter into our today's subject very well. For me,
Right.
my meals are not the problem. So as I've just described there, I
Right.
genuinely, no bullshitting, that is what I eat for my meals, right? I'm not trying to
Right.
sort of pull wool over anyone's eyes.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
issue and what I'm currently going through, which we'll talk about, is not anything to do with my meals at all. It's what happens to me in between, the way that I'm eating, the things that I'm eating. So that's the problem. And I have
I'm trying not, sorry to interrupt.
no,
So I've done that and then not snacking in between meals.
yeah,
That's what I'm like
yeah,
being really
which is what you need
strict
to do,
with.
because that's how
Yeah, I
you're
need to do
recording.
that. Yeah.
Exactly. Which
Yeah.
is what anyone of us needs to do when we're
Right.
counting our
Just not
calories.
eat
So
constantly.
this
Well,
is
just
not
not eat
because
constantly. Yeah.
yeah, this is not because I
Yeah.
don't know what to do. And that's what I was going to say. So I've
No.
made loads of notes on this today. But so the issue with the sort of weight loss roller coaster is not knowledge for me. I have an abundance of knowledge now. I know more than I've ever known about nutrition, mindset, and what to do. However, I am, or at least was in the last few months, in a place where I've been in my past, which is almost in a food addiction kind of situation. And the only difference for me right now compared to my past is the honesty that I've got around that and the kindness and gentleness that I'm showing myself. So in my past, I completely hid the whole situation, and I was in complete denial, almost pretending it wasn't happening, hiding everything. Currently, I have been really honest about it. You know, I've told my partner about it. We've talked about it. I've talked about it with my friends. And I'm not trying to be a bullshitter and go, oh my God, I'm being really good. No, with my meals, yes, I have, but I'm having a real issue, a problem. It is a problem
On
in
the
between.
emotional part of it.
And this is the thing. And it's my mental well-being, the mental strength that comes with it. That's what's wavering. And so we can talk about that and all the sort of the things that what you're feeling and the way we deal with it. But being really vulnerable, being really honest, that is what I'm struggling with at the moment. So this is nothing to do with my meals. My meals are exactly as I described, and I look forward to them. I enjoy them. That's not a problem. It's okay. It's what's happening in between. You're not eating in between, are you? You're doing really well.
I'm trying not to, because and I'm not doing it so much for from the, it's just a whole lot more calories, which it is, but it's more about the health aspect of it, like for my gut. Like, it's not good to eat constantly, to eat all the time. It's just not good for your body. Not even from not even from a caloric input. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about for your gut to just get rid of what's in there without here comes more. You know, to just not to be constantly eating and snacking.
I'm not doing that either. I'm not continuously sort of grazing. I'm not continuously eating. But what I am doing is having huge binge episodes. And within those episodes, clearly I don't count any calories within that point.
No, God.
But if I did, it's probably likely to be my whole day's worth of calories in that one binge.
In that one thing.
And then I go through being really mindful of back in my old days when I did, you know, it wasn't sort of recognized, but I did have an eating disorder. What I would then do is like, well, I won't eat now for another day to try and balance it out. And, you know, you go through that really unhealthy pinging through. I'm being really mindful. I'm not doing that. I am still having an evening meal, but I'll make it smaller because I'm being like, come on, you've eaten absolutely bloody tons a few hours ago. But trying to do this whole yo-yo of cutting meals out to balance it out, that's not good either.
No.
I'm trying to get back into that, and it won't ever help me or anyone get back into a regular eating pattern if you start going through that mental struggle of going, well, because I've binged a load of food earlier. I won't have an evening meal. So then what's going to happen?
No.
I'll be really, really hungry as I go to bed. So then there'd be a strong temptation to go, well, I'll just go and find some food or some
Yeah.
shit somewhere from downstairs. You'll wake up starving because, you know, and so that's not good either. So there's a difference between having a conscious decision of doing intermittent fasting, for example, or, you know, fasting for a long period of time. That's different. What I'm talking about is that reactive skipping meals. That's not good, because then you're going to get into that unhealthy mindset even more. So
Right.
I haven't been doing that. I have been having the regular meals, just smaller if needs be. But the upshot of that is I haven't lost weight. I've gained weight. I'm really, really conscious of that. Not to the point where my clothes don't fit. I'm still wearing the same clothes, but they're tighter, obviously. But I can really feel it in my own body with my own movement, getting around, getting up and down, you know, all of that sort of stuff. Obviously, I was ill in February. That really knocked me as well. So my exercise schedule went off during that period of time. And I'm found with then the way that I'm feeling, I found it really hard to get back to that. So that then feeds this situation as well, because you're not being active. So yeah, it is a roller coaster. And I think the honesty around it is it's unlikely to be that this is the only time I'm going to face this. Okay. So what I'm trying to do is think of and make a real plan about how I'm coping with this, how I'm dealing with it, how I'm going to get myself out of
What
it,
starts it to begin with?
why I'm like that
What
exactly,
prompts it?
because then the next time I'm faced with this, because there will be a next time, I've got strategies of how I'm going to cope with it and make it shorter, and how I'm going to get myself back out of it again.
Right.
But I can talk about that, but I just sort of say, I don't want to, what's your roller coaster look like? Because that's what mine looks like. What does it look like for you?
Mine's like, because I'm such an all or nothing sort of person, really.
Right.
And that's, so first of all, what I was going to do is like talk about some things that I think generate that whole roller coaster, and then talk about things that help me. So I think the first thing people need to do that are on that, you know, is stop that all or nothing mentality.
Yeah.
Because you just set yourself up for disaster. And start treating your body like one that you actually give a shit about it. Start the healthier you rather than that all or nothing. Just think healthier, not even about weight, just healthier, right? And care about your body instead of taking advantage of it. Okay. And be proud of the body that you have, even if you might not like it. Sarah tells me this. So, but it's true, you know, it gets you around.
It is.
And granted, I don't like the way I look.
Yeah.
But it works.
And it's what you've got right now, you know?
It's got what I've got right now. And when I treat it with the respect it deserves, it responds well. And I think that happens, it responds positively. And I think, you know, that happens. And it doesn't take very long for that to happen. I think for people to stop looking at the bigger picture and start focusing on smaller goals, because that I think is a big thing for people. I'm having therapy for my back, and the therapist said to me, just focus on losing 5 pounds. You know, just focus on that. And then when you lose that, then focus on the next 5. Because he said, just losing 5 pounds can help. Obviously, I have a lot more to lose than that. But so that's what I'm doing. I think it's very good advice. You know, for some people that might seem too much, maybe 1 pound, but I'm focusing on 5. I think stop giving up on yourself. I think people tend to do that. And that, you know, as the dips go down on the roller coaster, they just think, fuck it, I've already screwed up, and keep the momentum going. I think, and for me, this is true, as soon as life gets busy, many of us just fold. And this is, for me, one of the biggest reasons for the roller coaster is, instead of treating my healthy lifestyle like it is something that I do every day, it's just like, okay, all that gets put on the back burner. It's almost like an excuse to not be good to yourself and not, you know, eat or exercise, you know, but excuses, which leads me into that. I don't feel well, as in like just feeling, down. It's different if you're sick, but even if you're sick, don't use being sick as an excuse to eat poorly, because I have done that and do that. Recovering from knee surgery, that was the one thing, once I got past that whole just being sick and not being able to eat anything, was just like, oh, well, I'm recovering. I can eat a chocolate as like a reward for going through all that. No, that's total self-sabotage. And it's not taking care of yourself. And another thing is, and this is a big reason for the roller coaster, is the stop-start thing. For people to think that it's something that you start or get on like a wagon. People say, oh, I fell off the wagon. It's not like that. It's, you've decided you're going to be healthier. You look at like Sarah Jane, who came on the podcast. So she decided she was going to lose weight, and she stuck to it. And I'm not going to say it was easy for her. It took her a period of time, but she works out, she eats, better, she shares the recipes and things like that. And she's just embraced that healthier way of
a whole new lifestyle.
Yeah. And, and that's more along the thinking, as opposed to, I have to start a diet and then there's going to be an end to it. No, that just perpetuates the roller coaster. Another thing is, stop telling yourself that it's hard work, because hard is like, oh, it's hard, or it's work. But even then, I think, well, when did work or something being
something you
hard,
shouldn't do?
But like, yeah, why are they so bad? I think that we live in just a society of immediate, and this isn't going to be immediate. It's an investment in yourself, like you'd invest in a house or a car or new clothes or whatever. You get to do this. You don't have to do it, but you get to do it.
Yeah, that's a word that I've definitely sort of zoomed in on for myself recently. But all those things you described, it's funny, I'm just trying to think through how so just to describe for people, in the last 2 weeks, let's say, I have made a real shift in how I'm feeling and thinking. Now, that doesn't mean that what I'm doing is now perfect, but it is substantially better than how I was, say, a month ago. Okay, so it gives me a little bit of space to look back, but really recently, which is quite helpful for us talking about this today, going, how did I feel a month ago? And that word investment is something that's really important to me at the moment. And what I felt like was, I totally stopped investing in myself. I was simply coasting, and what I did do was revert to type, if you like, for my old type. I reverted to the person that did not give a shit. And so yes, I ate really well in those times, because all the things that I've learned have really stuck with me. So all of the meals were really nutritionally balanced, and I'm really enjoying cooking them and all that sort of thing. But my revert to type was, I don't care. I don't care. And I would drive to go and get the food that I was craving and wanting. So it wasn't a case of, well, don't have it in the house, irrelevant. I would drive half an hour to go and get it. So that made no difference. And it's because I didn't care. And it's a really odd situation when you find yourself in that place, because you're like, how can I not care about myself that much? Whereas I'm such a carer, and I look after everyone to the best of my ability. However, when it came to me, I just didn't. And I know that there were a number of things, like when you talked about a minute ago about saying, well, what was the trigger? There were a number of things. There were some things that really sort of shook me, different things that happened where, yes, being unwell, I felt bloody rotten for 4 weeks, which doesn't help when you're feeling that crap. Some work stuff really kind of took a bit of a curveball, and I was like,
that
whoa,
was a big one.
And that really shook me. So a number of things, and I think lifestyle change, when my son's getting older and he's got some really big events coming up, and actually I've got this big space, which genuinely is exciting, with different things I can do in different ways now. But also,
it's change.
It is change, and there's
it's
also
all change. It's all happened, like what you've been through.
It has, and there's also that emotional part. And I'm such an emotive person that I think the emotions almost filled that gap. And I'm like, I'm just trying to deal with all of that, like the way I'm feeling about everything. And I don't have any mental space for also dealing with looking after myself. I've just got to feel these things at the moment. So that's how I got to there. However, how and why I let that carry on as long as I did, I can't answer you that. It was almost
I
once
think it was like it's say like
it
a
was
putting on a
just,
comfy cardi or
do
something,
you know
or
what it
some
was?
slippers.
It's a bit like that. It was almost like I'm in my cocoon and
Mm-hmm.
the outside world doesn't even exist. That's what it
Right.
felt like. So, I mean, obviously I did go out of the house, but I wasn't going out. I wasn't doing much. And
Right.
I think I was feeling quite low, you know,
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
and
Yeah.
when you feel like that, then you stop caring about yourself and you stop
Mm-hmm.
doing the things. So to give you some sort of things about the way that I've started to make a bit of a turn on that, I just thought, Sarah, enough of not doing the things that I know make me feel better, and actually the true me that's in there trying to get back up to the surface. So one of those things was investing myself. So I'd run out of all of my skincare products, right? All of them. So I was kind of making do on bits and bobs that I had left, or the cheap stuff from here or there. Do you know what I mean? I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, it doesn't really matter anyway. What difference does it really make? It does make a difference to me because I feel so different when I'm doing my proper skincare routine.
Right.
And so I just thought, oh, to hell with it, I'm gonna get it ordered. Okay. Because you're like, oh God, it's expensive. And can't I? I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna make it work, however that looks. So that's one of the things that I've done, is got back into my normal skincare routine. And I am not exaggerating to say within 24 hours, I already thought, oh, I feel so much better. Because
Right. Oh, that's
it,
good.
yeah, like loads different. It's things like, it's just all those little things about things that you enjoy, whether it's like reading a book or journaling, which we're going to talk about on a different episode,
Yeah.
or yeah, just booking a hair appointment, or all those little
Right.
things. All of a sudden, I started to feel like I was coming back. I'm like, oh, it hasn't completely.
That's why I think your haircut would help.
Yes, get a haircut, get all of that
Yeah.
sort of thing. And it doesn't mean that I'm now back to being on it and being focused and,
Right.
however, I'm getting there and
Small
I can feel
steps.
myself waking up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I
Bit
was
by
going to talk
bit.
about small steps in a minute, but I don't want to talk continuously. What sort of things are you doing to make
So
changes?
keeping it simple is a big thing for me. And I
Mm-hmm.
think we tend to overcomplicate things, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Which just makes the roller coaster just worse, I
Yeah.
think. So keeping it simple, that's my start. Planning my meals. And I know a lot of people don't, can you hear that? That's
No.
Ramsay snoring.
Oh, no, I can't hear anything.
So it's so loud. I was just
Is
making sure
it?
he was all right. Anyway, yeah, so
Planning
planning
meals.
my week meals. That way I know, okay, this
Mm-hmm.
is how many calories. And I mean, okay, it might sound, people might say, we don't have time for that. Seriously? Like that's
Doesn't take
bullshit.
long.
I do not believe that. Anyway, so that's something I'm doing. I'm focusing just on 1 week at a time, plan my meals, figure out my caloric intake, write a shopping list, either order my shopping and go and pick it up, or get stuff delivered. People can have stuff
Mm-hmm.
delivered. I live out in the middle of nowhere, so it's harder. I've got to go and get it. So pick some meals, decide some meals. That's what I've done. Okay. We talked
Mm-hmm.
about that last week, done that. I've stopped eating all the time. So I was saying,
Mm-hmm.
snacking. So when I'm making my lunch or my breakfast or dinner or whatever, you snack. I'm sure I'm not the only one that does that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, a bit of cheese here, bit of cheese there. I mean, suddenly there's an extra 400 calories, I'm sure,
Yeah.
over the course of the day. I've decided I'm just not doing that. Okay.
Yeah.
And then moving my body. I do like to exercise. After that last shoot that I worked on, my exercise dwindled off. So I'm, ramping that back up
Yeah.
again because I like how it makes me feel. But also just, I mean, that burns such a small amount of calories.
Yeah.
But moving, just the general day-to-day stuff, moving around,
Mm-hmm.
that's where you burn most of your
Mm-hmm.
calories. So water, I'm focused on that. You got to drink a lot of water because if you don't, you're just going to hang on to it. So
Yeah.
simple as that. That's what I'm doing. And that whole, the cheat meal, cheat day. Oh God, that is a mentality I think. Well, I'm getting out of that because I think then one, it demonizes food. If I know that, say, I want to go out and have Mexican and a margarita, then I will just adjust what I'm eating prior to that accordingly, rather than adding that on top of everything else. So I'm just stopping thinking like that. You know, chips, whatever. It's like, oh no, either I'm not going to have them, or I'll just have, like, you know, a few. I'm not even thinking. It'll be in the moment thing. But how much do I want this? I want it pretty bad. So that means I've got to sacrifice, like, you know, small sacrifices for a large gain. So anyway,
I'm
you
the
know,
same.
prioritizing my health.
I put down invest in yourself, create a routine. So exactly like you just
Yeah.
said there, preparation is definitely something that helps me. So we talked about this on an episode the other week about making lunches and things. That's helps me because I don't have to think, it's already there for me.
Yeah.
Small steps. And I wrote down what my trip hazards were, because this might help other people recognize and go, oh yeah, same for me. So change your environment is a big thing for me. So my office and my drawing space is right next to the kitchen. And that, when I'm not feeling in control of what I'm eating, is an absolute danger place to be, because 6 steps and I'm there. Okay.
Yeah,
so change
same.
your environment, you know, maybe go and work in a different room, or go and work somewhere else entirely, or create a bit of a new routine where you could go out and come back. So that's one thing. For me, it's not overthinking it, because I'm getting overwhelmed. If I thought of this big project of like, now I've got to, right, I have to lose weight, which means I have to do this, this, and this, all of a sudden it's overwhelming. I'm put off and think, oh, I can't, it's just too much. So don't overthink it. Just do, like you said, small little sections.
Yeah.
Be kind and be gentle to yourself, which is definitely what I'm doing differently compared to before. I would speak to myself in a really unpleasant way when I was in that binge eating sort of phase, and going, you're stupid. What the hell are you doing? How vile is this that you're doing this? I'm being really gentle with myself, going, oh, this is not great, Sarah, but come on, you are going to get yourself out of it. Like, really being my own champion and my own courage, and go, okay, you've done it. You can't undo that right now, but let's make it better. Let's improve it. So just, kind. Sorry.
Being kind to yourself can also involve giving yourself a kick up the bum.
It can be. It's whatever works for different
tough
people.
love.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And enjoying the little things. So if I have made a really delicious lunch, I almost try and celebrate that and go, that was really, really nice, and actually create this sort of vibe, if you like, of yeah, that went well, I enjoyed that was. And then when you've almost celebrated that, I'm less likely to then think I want to go and buy and eat a load of crap food and stuff it down my face and hide the packet. Do you know what I mean? It's almost trying to create that balance the other way. But I listened to a podcast yesterday, a Mel Robbins podcast, and she had a guest, Dr. Tal Ben-Shahar, I think that's how you say it. But he was talking about action. To get out of anything, you require action. You can't expect to get out of anything if you're not going to be willing to put action in.
Right.
And he talked about minimum viable interventions, so MVIs. And an MVI is just like we've talked about, the smallest steps of doing something, and that change all adds up. So if you want to meditate, instead of thinking I've got to try and meditate for 30 minutes, which is probably overwhelming, just sit, concentrate on your breathing for 1 minute, and that is a form of meditation. And then you can give yourself that reward of going, that felt good, and actually genuinely it will impact your well-being, even just that 1 minute. And he just said that those differences, which are not perfect but are good enough, will all add up, and the consistency means that you then start to deliver. So if you're feeling stuck and you require change, start these little MVIs, these little minimum value, what do you say, minimum viable interventions that start to create a change within what you're doing. He said, for example, if you're not exercising and you're thinking, I don't know, it's too much, walk up and down the stairs for 1 minute. Just up and down for 1 minute, and then say, that's okay, I've done it for today. Tomorrow, maybe let's try 2. Do you know what I mean? And I think those are the small steps that we were talking about before, but the mindset of making the action to get yourself out of a slump or where you feel stuck means that you will start to make those changes. And I was listening to him. It was a very long podcast, but obviously I was just trying to sort of summarize things, and I thought that's really working for me as well. It's either, with the little investments that I'm making in myself, or the the preparation and the routine that I'm trying to get back into, I am getting back into. They're really small little changes. These, if anyone looked at them, they'd be thinking, well, that's not going to solve it, is it? But do you know what? They start to add up, don't they? And a bit like you
Right.
said,
Yeah.
even if that sort of voice that you use for you need a kick up the bum sometimes, and that motivation and stuff, whatever you know works for you, just start doing that.
That's the thing. That is like learning and understanding what works for you, because this is also part of the roller coaster, is that people see what's worked for other people and then they think, well, I'll adapt
to do
that.
Yeah.
I have to do that, and then stop what they're doing, which might have been working or would have had they kept on with it. But it has to work for you. And that's really important.
And don't you think it's being really honest with yourself?
Yeah, definitely. What I've started doing, you were saying about the whole meditating, 1 minute, but I've started 2 things. When I either want a snack or I'm just feeling like I just can't be bothered, right? Or I'm learning Swedish, and
excellent.
I practice hula hoop.
Cool.
2 very random, odd things, perhaps to some, except I am going to Sweden.
Yes.
But yeah. So, and you were saying, what was his name? What?
Tal Ben-Shahar, Dr. Tal Ben-Shahar.
Tal.
Yeah.
Okay. I have to have a listen to it. But the podcast, the system that I'm using to learn Swedish, it's like 15 minutes a day. And you think, well, how can you learn with 15 minutes a day? But it's amazing what you can do.
Yeah.
And so just being consistent, that's the biggest thing, is being consistently better, not consistently worse. Okay.
Yes. Well, consistently worse also
to put
delivers
that
a
out
result,
there.
because consistently worse, then you find yourself getting worse and worse, don't you? So it's the same thing, but the wrong way.
Right. And just understanding, for me, it's just understanding that the roller coaster is what you make it, right? It doesn't have to be like that. It's what I have chosen to make it.
It is. I think it's important to acknowledge the fact that there is a roller coaster, and you are likely to feel like this way again. And it's not all going to be that once you've lost weight, then that's that, and I'm never going to feel like this again.
Right. No.
You will, and you will face all of
It's
these
just called
things
life.
all
It's
over
life,
again.
right?
And so it's a bit like we said, it's like getting that sort of armory behind you of thinking, how am I going to deal with it then? Because what I want to do is to try and shallow out some of these lows and highs, not the highs, they're great, but shallow out some of the lows a bit, because it's bloody hard work climbing back out when it's really, really like that. And you just think, okay, if I can try and nip it in the bud, yes, they'll start to happen, but let's not let it go quite
down
so
deep. Don't furnish it.
Let's just shallow it out a little, and then I've not got as far to climb back out the other side. And how am I going to do that? And genuinely, I do feel like that now, because yes, I've felt pretty rubbish, and yes, I haven't been good to myself in all host of things, but I've been really mindful of it and honest. So that's already a massive improvement compared to how I used to be. The truth will set you
free.
Yeah, and it's kind of odd being honest about it, because I never have done before. I've always sort of just hidden it away. So, but actually that's something that he also said, was that he quoted another person, but to get yourself out of it requires action, but there's things that you can do. And he then said that you can either talk about it, think about it, or write about it. And if you only think about it, it's going to get worse, because what you do is as you just said, furnish it. It grows and it grows, and all of a sudden you then become swamped by it. Talking about it, so sharing it with someone else, it becomes all of a sudden liberating to be honest about it. But writing about it is what we're going to talk about next week. Journaling is another really good way of doing it. Because you just get it all down, and then actually you turn it into a sort of a manageable chunk that you can create action from. So that'll be even really
like talking to somebody about things. Sometimes when you hear yourself speaking about it, you think, okay,
light bulb moment. Yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe it's not as bad. It doesn't seem as bad as when it comes out of your mouth, and then when it's buzzing around in your head, especially at 3 o'clock in the morning. I was going to say, like, because life and shit, it happens. That's just part of it. But it's not a reason to chuck everything in and
No.
start treating yourself badly.
No.
That really is the time that we need to dig deep and take care of ourselves. It's
I
when you
agree.
need it the absolute most, I think. And just,
be your own
this,
best
I think,
friend.
yeah, but a best friend will say, come on,
Yeah, give
But
you
I
that
think,
talking to when you need to.
right, just I think this is probably one of the tippy tops of the whole roller coaster thing. Stop with the fad diets and expecting quick fixes. Just you need to just stop that shit. And remember, nothing in this world is more important than your health and well-being. Like, we want to feel vibrant and active and strong. It's not even just, looking good in clothes.
No,
That's what Sarah
strong,
and I talk
physically
about.
able. Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you don't want to just sit back and watch life go on. Just quickly, what's going to be our weekly challenge?
I'm just going to focus on reducing what I'm doing in between each meal, because I've got my meal sussed. So
Right.
just try and be more, not try, but I will be more controlled on those moments in between. If I have some hiccups, don't dwell on them, but even make the hiccups smaller. So that's quickly what that's my goal going to be.
Go out in the garden or something.
Yeah. What about you?
Next, okay. What I'm going to do? Well, I'm just going to work on staying within my caloric deficit.
Okay.
That's, I've started it. I'm going to keep
it
doing
level.
Yeah. And no snackies. Next week, we're talking about journaling, which is what Sarah was just mentioned. Do you journal? We're going to be covering the benefits and the basics of journaling, where to start, how to be consistent. So please join us. Be sure to visit lovoniandsarah.com for show notes from each episode and links to where you can listen. Also, see links below to connect with us on Instagram and YouTube, where you can watch us as well as listen. Thank you so much for joining us. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.